Welcome, everyone. My name is Brian Kerr, and I am here today to interview Megan Jo Specht. A little bit about me. I've started my talent acquisition career back in 2004 at Harvard Business School, where I used to fax resumes back when the Earth's crust was forming. We don't fax resumes anymore, but we used to. And then in 2006, I had the great opportunity to do talent management for Berklee College of Music, which is a huge contemporary music institution in Boston, Massachusetts. And from 2006 to 2018, I worked in New York City, Los Angeles, and Nashville, building out talent pipelines for the recording industry and for companies such as Spotify. I currently work at a software company called Uplight, and we are a 550 person high growth scale up. And I am one of 4 human resource people for our whole team. So I put on that talent hat when I need to, but most of the work I do right now is in human resource biz partner work. And so that's why it's really important that we can get all of our questions answered from Megan Jo Specht. So I'm going to pass it over to MJ.
Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Jo, and today Brian and I are going to be showing you how to build out a really robust and wonderful LinkedIn profile so that you can grab the attention of recruiters like myself and really get an opportunity to get your foot in the door into maybe job opportunities that you wouldn't have been aware of if a recruiter hadn't come to you in a passive example. So I have been in talent acquisition for more than 15 years. And I have hired every single kind of employee from warehouse and customer service to accountants. Right now, I work in very high technical recruiting. I work for Amazon Web Services, and I hire cloud engineers all over North America for some really senior niche positions. But 99.9% of the people that I hire are passive candidates that I found on LinkedIn. And so Brian and I are really going to be showing you what a big difference having a robust LinkedIn presence can be for your career search and really grabbing the attention of recruiters and having them come to you and find you, as opposed to applying to 1,000 jobs and never hearing back from anyone. So I'm really excited to be here today and to go on this journey with you guys and Brian. And we're going to show you what you need to know to really make your profile stand out.
Great. So I'd like to kind of start with building out the landscape of nomenclature. So I would like, Megan, for you to explain with your recruiter hat, what is the difference between an active candidate and a passive candidate? And what is sourcing?
Those are great questions. And I forget that those are vernacular that I use every day. So you guys might not know those. So a passive candidate is somebody that I reached out to on LinkedIn. I found their profile. I was interested in their background. And so I actually send them an email that says, "Hey, John Smith, I'm really impressed with your background. I think it aligns really well with the position that I am hiring for. I would love to connect with you and learn more." An active candidate is somebody who found one of our job postings on LinkedIn or a job board, Indeed, something of that nature, and they actually applied for the role online. So that's the difference between the two candidates. Sourcing is what I do. It's witchcraft and wizardry. And there is another tool within every single job board out there. So there are always 2 sides to every platform, whether that's LinkedIn or Monster or Indeed, things of that nature. And it's the recruiter's landing page. And this is for people that are looking for talent and are open to hire. And they are using different techniques to source, which basically just means to find different kinds of candidates that fill into a bucket that they're specifically looking to fill. Those are great questions.
Yes, and before we go into the actual mechanics of how to create the perfect LinkedIn profile to bring talent recruiters to candidates, I would like us to just take a step back and explain how LinkedIn works as a business model. Who is the intended user? Why does LinkedIn work the way it does? And then I think understanding the ghost in the machine will give us the context to then go through a LinkedIn profile with the worksheets. So Megan, if you
Absolutely.
could do that, that would be fantastic.
So, LinkedIn is a social media platform. It's the largest social media platform that's specifically geared towards professionals who are networking. It has over 500 million users, and it's in 200 different countries across the world. So, if you are a professional, you should be on LinkedIn. It is the Facebook for the workplace. And again, LinkedIn has two very different landing pages as far as who the customer base is and how it works. So for you all, LinkedIn is a free platform that allows you to go in and build a profile, network with other professionals, see job openings, learn about conferences, things of that nature. The normal things that you would do on social media. But nobody's lunch is free, and LinkedIn doesn't exist as a free entity. And so somebody pays for LinkedIn to exist, and that somebody are recruiters. So, in order for this other landing page to exist where recruiters receive a license to be able to source these passive candidates, find them, and actually reach out and connect to them. There's a fee for that. And it costs me as a recruiter thousands of dollars a year to be able to have this recruiter license, which again allows me to find candidates, but then also connect with them, communicate with them, and talk to them. And because I am the customer that pays thousands of dollars a year, LinkedIn is actually set up to ensure that I am successful in my searching for candidates so that I continue to use it. Because if it wasn't a good tool for me, I wouldn't continue to pay those thousands of dollars a year. Right. And so LinkedIn in the background uses a variety of different kinds of algorithms that allow me to be successful. So here are some examples. When I am performing a search for candidates, whether I'm looking for candidates by their job title or their skills section or keywords or a certain kind of education, my search will always yield multiple candidates. And all of those candidates have to match my search 100%. It's black and white. They they won't put in candidates that almost match it or kind of match it. It's a black and white function. So whatever it is that I'm searching for, I'm going to get a response, a yield of candidates. Now, let's say that my search yielded 1,000 candidates, okay? And that is a true number of what some of my searches might come back with. There is a big difference in my eyes between the first candidate that shows up in my search and the last candidate, because I'm not going to have the time to be able to go through 1,000 different candidates. So I'm going to go through the first, dozen or so, and then I'm going to perform a new search. And the way LinkedIn decides who is going to show up on my first page versus who shows up on my last page is by using algorithms that, again, are specifically set up for me, the paying customer, to be successful. So they are looking at certain things when they are deciding who shows up on the first page and who shows up on the 900th page. And they're looking at things like when a recruiter reaches out to this person, do they typically respond? Whether they are interested or not interested, do they respond? That gives them a bonus point to get higher in the list. And so when recruiters reach out to you, you want to be engaged. You want to be responsive, even if you aren't interested in the opportunity that they are bringing to your table. Having communication with them will bring you up higher in the list. The other thing that they're looking at are login activities. So if this person is a great fit, but they haven't even logged into their LinkedIn account in 6 months, they're not going to be at the top of my search. They're going to be on page 900. They're also looking at activity in general. Are these people active on the platform? Are they commenting on things? Are they posting things? Because again, the person that shows up first in my feed is going to be a person that is going to be most likely to respond in a positive way to my search and to my outreach, so that LinkedIn continues to be a tool that yields results for me, and so that I will continue to pay for it year over year to have that license. Does that make sense, Brian? Does that answer your question?
Yes, and that's a great reminder, Megan. I think I owe two recruiters some responses in my LinkedIn inbox. So thank you for that reminder. And after
Mhm.
this session, I am going to get back to them because I do want to always be at the top of that list. So before we get into the mechanics of how to build a LinkedIn profile, I just want everyone that is watching this session, if there's anything that you take away from this session, it is that you must continue to consistently engage in the LinkedIn platform. I need to be better at that. So let's take MJ's advice and not my not what I do, and let's do this. So I feel like everyone has a pretty good lay of the land of some of the language we're using and how LinkedIn works as a product and a business model. So I'm going to share my screen now, and we're going to have some visuals. Megan, I kind of feel like your LinkedIn profile is probably like the best in class. So I am going to pull your wonderful LinkedIn for all of our attendees here. And let's just start building it out. Now, real quick, as an administrative note, for those that are in this session, you do have a worksheet where we have pulled some of the concepts that we're about to go over. So you can follow along with the worksheet and fill it out as you go. So MJ, I am now at the landing page of your profile.
Okay, so then I guess the best thing to do would be to start right at the top, right? So right at the top of the screen, you'll see my personal URL. This is my personal URL that will take you to my LinkedIn profile. It is something that I created. When you create your LinkedIn profile, you have the ability to craft your own URL. Sometimes things change, right? Especially for me, from the time that I had my first LinkedIn profile to now, I got married, and so my last name changed. It's easy to go in and edit your URL. You just do that when you're editing your profile, but you want your URL to be a professional hyperlink, and you want to make it easy for people to find you. This is really kind of goes back to when we were all in the third grade and we had silly email addresses, like Lisa Frank 101 or Miss Kitty or whatever the case may be. We don't use those email addresses as grown-up professionals. And so you want to make sure that your URL is also professional. This can be something that I put directly on my business cards, on my
Mhm.
email signature. It makes sense because it's my name. It's easy to find me. So you want to make sure that your URL is personalized, it's professional, and you want to have as little fluff and detail there as possible. Go ahead and find me. I'm on LinkedIn. My URL is just Megan Jo Specht. So that keeps it easy, right? From there, I think that, if we're just working our way from the bottom to the top, the next thing that you'll see is there's a picture of me. And this is a professional picture. It's a headshot picture. Um, and it shows you exactly what I look like. It's very important to have a professional picture on your LinkedIn. And I highly recommend that you have somebody take your picture, that, this is a great time to make a case for headshots or things of that nature. The reason your picture is so important is that, first of all, it's my first impression of you as a recruiter. So I'm looking at this and I'm looking at a sea of profiles, but when I see your picture, you turn into a human being, right? And it really allows me to put a face with a name. And so your picture is very important. You know, they say a picture says 1,000 words. And so highly recommend that you have a very professional picture. It can be something that you have professionally done. You can have your significant other or your roommate take your picture. That's fine too. Just know that this is my first impression of you. And so a professional picture is always a really good idea.
And Megan, I'd like to kind of double click on that for a second. When we talk about bias in hiring, right? All of us have bias, whether you're a seasoned recruiter or a seasoned HR person and you've done all the trainings, we still have bias. And so, is there a bias in 2021 with recruiters like yourself at these high powered companies against LinkedIn profiles that do not include a headshot?
You know, I never want to comment on company view or what a company might think.
Of
I can
course.
I can only speak for myself. Um, at the organization that I work at, Amazon Web Services, our number one leadership principle or daily guideline is customer obsession. We are absolutely obsessed with our customers. And here at AWS, we treat everybody like a customer, our internal business stakeholders, our peers, our, my candidates, everybody's a customer. And so one of the things that I am looking at when I am looking at your profile for the particular position that I recruit for, it's customer facing. And probably subconsciously somewhere, a nice, professional, friendly photo gives me confidence that I'm going to be able to have you be customer facing at
Mm,
AWS. There's probably something subconsciously happening in the back of my mind where if you are looking at the camera and you look friendly, I mean, I'm a human being. And when I reach out to you, I'm going to have to interact with you. And I would much rather interact with somebody that, looks friendly.
that's great. No, I appreciate that. I kind of feel it makes a lot of sense, right? And when we talk about putting candidates forward, it's super important that we have the confidence that candidates will show up to the interview on time. We'll send the proper thank you email. We'll come prepared with questions. And I think having that professional headshot is another asset to that confidence. So thank you for answering that question.
I will also tell you that in regards to biases and things of that nature, every single organization in the world right now has specific and deliberate diversity recruiting and sourcing goals. And so having a picture there might showcase what makes you diverse.
Mm,
I'm not going to see on a LinkedIn profile somebody saying that I am age diverse or I am this. And so sometimes when I'm specifically looking for diverse candidates, having a picture there that shows me that you're different than some of the other candidates could actually be a tip in your favor.
mm. Okay, great. All right, so we've got our professional headshot looking great. What about the banner? Why did you choose this banner?
So I chose that banner because it's an AWS banner.
Okay.
And I think that one of the things that it showcases is that I do have pride in my organization. And so I think that that's important too. Just remember that just like Facebook, because remember, this is a social media platform, your banner or your cover photo says something about you one way or the other, right? And so just be intentional when you select your cover photo as well, and make sure that it's something that's professional.
Great. Well, let's move down here. Okay.
Would you click on the see more button for me in that about section?
Yes.
Thank
Perfect.
you so much.
Yes, there you go.
So The next part of your profile is your about section. And let me tell you, your LinkedIn profile is different than your resume or your CV. This is where you get to tell me about you. And so, first of all, as you will notice in the thread of diversity, I know that often organizations will have a diversity goal of women and men, right? They will specifically say that we would like to increase our female hires.
Mm,
And so if you notice, one of the very first words in my about section is the word female. I am actually calling out my diversity so that if a recruiter is looking for that, they can find it. Recruiters will often source with keywords looking for things like female, she, her,
mm,
girl, for BLNA talent, which is Black, Latino, and Native American. I'm actually looking for those keywords. So if you are an African American person and you want to call that out in your profile, this is a great place to do it.
mm.
If you are Latinx, this is a great place to call that out. This area is where you really get to tell your story. In the
Great.
in the idea that this is not your CV, this is a great place to tell me if you are looking for your second act or a career change or you're wanting to transition in some way. This would be a great place to say something like, um, seasoned marketing professional looking to make a change into program management with the following skill sets: time management, project management, things of that nature. This is your area to tell me anything that you want me, a recruiter, to know. You can put in here some of your biggest accomplishments, things that you're really proud of. This is your area. I have really crafted mine to really be able to tell anybody who comes to my page and looks here, what kind of professional I am and what I'm really passionate about, right?
Yeah, and I'd like to also just kind of double click here. As I'm reading this, when I put my recruiter hat on, I read, put the right people in the right places, doing the right things, and great things happen. I feel like that's kind of like your coup de grace, right? Your mission statement. This is who you are as a recruiter. And so I think people should have a sentence that kind of encapsulates how they show up at work.
This is your opportunity to create your own tagline, whatever that looks like. Um, so it's a good place to have fun with it, and to tell me everything that I know. Then you'll notice as you're highlighting, below my paragraph, I have specific keywords. I basically just did a keyword dump in my own profile.
Yep.
These are the types of keywords that a recruiter who was looking for recruiters would be using to search. And so by putting them right there, I'm going to come up in their search. So if you are wanting to get into program management and you have a ton of transferable skills, this would be a great place to put those keywords. There are a lot of different kinds of professionals in the same position doing very different things. So maybe you are an account executive, you're in sales, and you're specifically in technical sales. You have great experience selling SaaS or hardware or whatever that might be. This is the place to put the keywords that you want me to have to be able to find you. Again, the purpose of this is to help me find you. So whatever you want to put in there so that I can get you on my radar, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I love this keyword. I did a dump too a couple of years ago, and it was funny. The day after I did it, my LinkedIn blew up. So
Hmm.
obviously it works in the algorithm. So again, there are lots of great tips from MJ for all of you with your worksheet, but I would say this is a really important piece of it, is making
Hmm.
sure you get those keywords in there and then also explaining where you've been, where you are, and where you want to go.
Yeah.
This is really a mini cover letter in some ways.
Absolutely.
Great.
It definitely takes the place of a cover letter, no doubt.
Absolutely.
Mhm. So if you click into my activity right here, so again, just remember, this is a social media platform. And so I can see all of your activity. So if you click on this, you can see what things I liked, what I celebrated, posts that I curated. Um, you can see if I have commented on something. So just remember, social media rules apply, and you're now in a professional platform. So make sure that your behavior is professional and that there's not anything that you have said or would do that if I saw it, they would feel was questionable. So make sure that you are behaving appropriately. This activity is also where a lot of the algorithms come from. They are commenting on posts, they're part of groups, they are sharing things. The more activity you have, the more you are doing, the higher you're going to come in on my search list. Mhm.
And I think just for fun, since we are stalking your LinkedIn right now, you posted 2 days ago this statement, and it has 244 either celebrations, likes, supports, but you have 49 comments. This is super important because if I'm looking at bringing in a high level recruiter and I see something like this, I'm going to screenshot this and send it to the hiring manager and go, shh, this person's an influencer. This person has a network. And so that I think is really important too. So great job.
Thank you.
244. I think the highest I ever got is 100. So whatever you're doing, MJ, I need to be doing it too.
I
So
got the gift of gab, you know? Mhm.
okay.
Okay, so here in your experience part, my experience looks a little bit different than what you will want yours to look like. Because I am a recruiter, when I reach out to candidates, the very first thing that they're going to do, if they haven't heard of the company that I'm recruiting for, is they're going to go to my LinkedIn profile and try to figure out what my company is all about. Where you want to really tag your experience and how you want to really phrase this is where you tell me anything that you want to about these places, about the different jobs that you held, about your accomplishments, about anything that was really special. If you took on a big project and it succeeded, or you've got any data that you want to put in here, this is a great place to do that. So you can put in here, this will also show me that you have been with an organization for 2 years and 3 months. And within those 2 years and 3 months, you held 4 different titles. So you were continuously promoted, always taking on more. This is where you can make a call out to really anything you want. So this is your space. And remember, this is different than a resume. I have your resume. This is your opportunity to really put in anything that you would like for me to see.
Great. And just as kind of a call out here, when you were talking about the growth and promotions within a company, I think your time at Open Table is a great example for our attendees. So it shows that you would only been a recruiter there for 11 months before you got a promotion. And LinkedIn does a great job of highlighting that for recruiters and end users to see with the gray line. So that's super important that people are careful on how they put in their LinkedIn if there is promotions, because they want that to be tied in there. So when you're doing your worksheet and you're really thinking about how to build your LinkedIn, be very mindful of that.
Right. Right. And again, see, it's interesting that that gray line exists because, again, remember, it's trying to keep me happy. It's thinking about me as the audience, as a recruiter, right?
Right.
A pro tip is that if you go down from there and you go to your education, really important, don't put the date of your education.
Agreed.
So I actually probably need to go in and edit this. 2005 is the year that I started at University of Colorado. I didn't put in an end date because I don't want anybody doing the math. I probably need to go in and delete that. But make sure that you don't have dates on your education, just because we can all do math. And especially as a woman, I don't want people to be able to figure out how old I am. And so I'm going to make it hard on them by not including that. So the next part is your skills and endorsements. Now, this is really important because as a recruiter, sometimes I will do just a skill set search, which means I am looking for people who have specifically called out that they have skills in certain things, because typically people will only put on their skills and endorsements things that they like, things that they're passionate about, that they
Mhm.
want to continue to work with. And so, as a recruiter, you can see my top skills and how they have been endorsed and things of that nature. I personally have a 6-month reminder on my cell phone that goes off and reminds me to come in here and review my skills, edit them as necessary. Maybe I no longer do college recruiting. And so, as that's one of my skills, it's taking up space. You're only allowed a certain number of skills. And so, maybe I eliminate college recruiting and I put something new in there, like um, the review and approval of statements of work or
Mhm.
something of that nature. So, use your skills and endorsements wisely, robustly. Put things in there that you're interested in, and then as your skills grow, as you're promoted into different positions, as you're looking to do a career change or transition or pivot of some kind, know that your transferable skills from one area to another, this is a great place to put that as well.
That's a great tip. I need to be a little bit more diligent on that 6-month cleanup, or what do they call it? Pruning your
Pruning
profile.
your
I
profile.
gotta prune my profile. That's
Hmm.
another great thing in here too. And then I know we're getting close on time, but I think one of the last important pieces here is the recommendation section.
So the recommendation section is particularly important because companies no longer do reference checks. Very few companies perform reference checks anymore. I haven't done a reference check in more than 5 years. And the reason
Wow.
for that is we are smart humans, and we know for a fact that you are not going to give me somebody as a reference if they're going to say bad things about you, right? And in fact, the person that you're giving me as a reference, I don't have any way to validate if, you said this was your boss. I don't really know if they were your boss. I mean, I'm just calling
Right.
a number, right? It's really your sister, your best friend. And so we as recruiters pay big attention to your recommendations to see if we have common threads, common themes, if we're seeing the same thing over and over again. If 30 people said that you are a great recruiter, you're probably a a really great recruiter, right?
Right.
Um, and the other thing that I'm looking at is diversity of your recommendations. Is it people that you are peers with, your superior officers, your management? Is it your customers, your candidates, your hiring managers? Who is recommending you and what kinds of things are they saying? What are some common themes that I'm seeing? The other thing that I look at is how many recommendations have you given? Um, are people saying all these great things about you, but you don't have anything great to say about anybody? So this is just kind of another data point that shows me who you're working with, what kinds of people respect your craft, and really what they have to say about you. So if you don't have recommendations on your profile, I highly recommend that you go out and ask some people to write you a recommendation. It can be people you worked with, your bosses, it can be a variety of different kinds of things. Make sure you've got some diversity there, but ask for recommendations and remember to return the favor by giving recommendations as well.
And just for context, if I wanted to request that Megan Joe do a recommendation for me, this is how I would do that. And if I were to give one to her, I start here and it's the same thing. And this relationship piece is really important. So you actually get to pick how you know the person. Again, the more data, the better the algorithms work. And then this has every single position that she's had. So the algorithm can work together. And MJ, I think I need to do a recommendation for you after this. I have 2 recruiters I need to get back to, and I need to do some pruning on my profile. I'm a mess. Oh my gosh, I'm a mess.
Well,
All
good
right.
thing you're happily employed. I mean, that helps.
It does. And then last but not least is the interest section.
hmm So the intersection tells me literally what kinds of things you're interested in. What companies are you following? What groups are you a part of? What schools are you interested in? My interest section is wide. I am interested in a lot of different things, but this will show me, if you are attached to groups, if you are attached to, things of that nature. And so it's a good piece to have really filled out.
That's great. Well, I'm going to stop sharing, and I think we're at time now. For all those that are on this recording, I hope that you have a better idea of how LinkedIn works for recruiters, how you can use the algorithm and the details to your advantage, and how you can use points of your identity in your profile to help bring you forward.
Right.
And my last piece would be, if there's one piece of advice, MJ, that you would like to depart, what would that be?
Help me help you. I want to hire you. I want to find you. Help me find you.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you all, and I hope that you found this to be very helpful. If you want to find me on LinkedIn, I'm the only Brian Curr, Curr. Feel free to add me, but a little pro tip, don't just connect with me, add a note and let me know why you're connecting with me, because that's super important. And you should do the same with MJ too. Thank you,
All right.
everyone.
Bye. Thanks, guys.